Everyone talks about success, morning routines, motivation quotes, fake hustle stories. But nobody tells you the uncomfortable truth. Most successful people are successful because they do boring things consistently while everyone else chases excitement. There's no magic, no universe conspiracy, no secret ritual, just habits, cold, repetitive, sometimes uncomfortable habits that compound silently over time. In this video, we're not glorifying billionaires or selling motivation. We're breaking down the real habits successful people actually live by, habits backed by psychology, neuroscience, and real-world results. If you're tired of motivational noise and want clarity, structure, and a system that actually works, watch this till the end. Because once you see how successful people think and act daily, you'll never look at your own habits the same way again. The brutal truth about successful habits. Let's get one thing straight from the start: successful people are not successful because of motivation, luck, vibes, or some cosmic energy nonsense. That's cope. Success is mostly boring, repetitive, and deeply unsexy. The biggest habit successful people have is they don't romanticize success. They treat it like a system, not a miracle. While most people wait to feel like it, successful people operate even when they feel lazy, confused, tired, or mentally foggy. They understand a simple scientific truth: behavior shapes mindset, not the other way around. You don't wait for motivation to act. Action creates motivation through dopamine feedback loops in the brain. This is neuroscience, not self-help fluff. Another key habit is extreme ownership of outcomes. Successful people don't outsource responsibility to parents, society, government, luck, or bad timing. They don't say, "I couldn't do it because conditions weren't perfect." They ask, "Given my constraints, what is the most rational move right now?" This mindset alone separates adults from excuse factories. They accept that life is unfair, then move anyway. No crying, no victim Olympics. Just cold, logical adaptation. And here's something most gurus won't tell you. Successful people are not always positive. They are realistic. They expect resistance, boredom, failure, and slow progress. Because when you expect pain, pain doesn't stop you, it becomes normal. Average people quit because reality doesn't match their fantasy. Successful people win because their expectations are aligned with reality. They know progress is slow, silent, and invisible before it compounds. That patience? That's a habit too. This video isn't about copying billionaire morning routines or pretending that waking up at 5 a.m. magically fixes your life. It's about understanding how successful people think, decide, and repeat actions daily, even when nobody is watching. In the next part, we'll break down the habit that silently destroys most people's potential, and why successful people ruthlessly avoid it. They kill distraction like it's a disease. One habit that almost guarantees failure? Uncontrolled distraction. Successful people don't have superhuman focus. They just don't live in a constant dopamine circus. They understand something very basic yet deadly serious: attention is finite. Every notification, random scroll, pointless argument, and useless video is literally stealing cognitive energy from long-term goals. While average people proudly say, "I multitask," successful people know multitasking is just task switching, and neuroscience is clear: it reduces efficiency, increases errors, and fries your brain over time. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most people are not tired, they are mentally overstimulated. Successful people design their environment to reduce friction for important work and increase friction for distractions. Phones on silent, notifications off, apps deleted, fixed time blocks for deep work. This isn't discipline, this is system design. Willpower is unreliable, systems are scalable. That's why successful people don't rely on motivation, they rely on structure. Another brutal habit: they choose boredom over cheap dopamine. They can sit with silence. They can repeat the same task daily without needing novelty. Why? Because they understand delayed gratification at a biological level. Dopamine spikes from scrolling feel good short-term but destroy patience long-term. Successful people train their brain to get dopamine from progress, not pleasure. That's a rewiring process, and it takes time, but once done, focus becomes their unfair advantage. Also, they don't confuse being busy with being productive. Running around all day doing random tasks feels productive but produces nothing meaningful. Successful people ask one sharp question every day. What is the one thing today that actually moves the needle? Then they protect time for that thing like it's sacred. No drama, no excuses, just execution. They track reality, not feelings. Here's a habit that separates serious people from delusional ones. Successful people measure things. They don't run their life on vibes, emotions, or, I feel like I'm improving. Feelings are noisy, biased, and unreliable. Data is cold, but it's honest. Whether it's money, health, skills, time, or performance, successful people track reality. If something isn't improving on paper, they don't lie to themselves about it. Most people avoid tracking because numbers expose uncomfortable truths. Tracking reveals wasted time, fake effort, and slow progress. Successful people are okay with that discomfort because clarity beats comfort. If their productivity drops, they don't spiral emotionally, they debug the system. What change? Sleep? Diet? Environment? Schedule? This is a scientific mindset. Observe, hypothesize, test, adjust. No drama, no self-pity. Another powerful habit is feedback obsession. Successful people actively seek feedback, even when it hurts their ego. They understand that ego is the enemy of growth. If something isn't working, they want to know fast, not after years of self-deception. They don't take feedback personally, they treat it like data points. Average people protect their ego. Successful people protect their progress. They also review their actions regularly. Weekly reviews, monthly check-ins, yearly recalibration. Not to beat themselves up, but to stay aligned with reality. Progress doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency plus correction. If you repeat the wrong action consistently, you just become consistently wrong. Successful people course correct early. And here's the key insight: tracking creates awareness, awareness creates control, and control creates freedom. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's being able to do what actually matters because you're not blind to your own patterns. They don't worship discipline, they engineer it. Most people think successful people are just insanely disciplined. That's a myth. Discipline is unstable. Emotions, energy levels, sleep, stress, everything messes with it. Successful people know this, so instead of worshiping discipline, they engineer environments where discipline is barely needed. This is a high IQ move. If something requires daily willpower, it will eventually fail. Systems beat self-control every single time. Look closely and you'll notice a pattern. Successful people reduce choices. Same workout time, same work blocks, same routines. Fewer decisions mean less decision fatigue. Your brain has limited cognitive bandwidth, and successful people protect it like a scarce resource. They don't ask, "Should I work today?" That question was already answered long ago. The habit is automatic. No negotiation with the mind. They also understand the concept of non-zero days. Even on bad days, something gets done. Not perfect, not heroic, just something. This keeps momentum alive. Momentum is powerful because the brain hates starting from zero. Successful people exploit this psychological bias instead of fighting it. They know consistency at low intensity beats random bursts of high motivation. Another underrated habit: they design failure-proof routines. Miss one day? Fine. Miss 2 days? Still recoverable. Miss 3? Alarm bells. They build habits with recovery in mind, not perfection. Average people quit after one slip because they think they failed. Successful people expect slips and plan for them. That's realism, not weakness. And here's the real flex: they don't talk about discipline much. They just quietly structure their life so the right action is the default action. No hype, no quotes, no motivational nonsense, just execution. They treat learning like a survival skill. Successful people don't see learning as a phase of life: school, college, done. That's outdated thinking. They treat learning like oxygen. Not optional, not seasonal, continuous. In a fast-changing world, the most dangerous position is being static. Skills expire. Industries evolve. What worked 5 years ago can be useless today. Successful people stay ahead because they're always upgrading their mental software. But here's the key difference. They don't learn for entertainment, they learn for leverage. Most people consume content to feel smart. Successful people consume information to change behavior or output. They ask, how does this improve my decisions, my income, or my execution? If it doesn't, they drop it. No emotional attachment. Learning without application is just intellectual procrastination. They also practice just-in-time learning. Instead of hoarding random knowledge, they learn what's immediately useful for the next problem they're solving. This aligns perfectly with how the brain actually works. Context boosts retention. That's why successful people remember what they learn and others forget. Learning is tied to action, not theory. Another powerful habit. They relearn basics. Over and over. Fundamentals compound. Whether it's communication, money, health, or thinking, successful people obsess over basics because mastery lives there. Average people chase advanced hacks. Successful people refine foundations until they're unstoppable. And importantly, they're not emotionally attached to being right. If new evidence shows they're wrong, they update their beliefs. That's intellectual honesty. That's growth. Ego freezes learning. Curiosity accelerates it. They are ruthless with time, not people. Successful people understand a harsh reality most people ignore. Time is the only non-renewable resource. Money can be earned back. Energy can be restored. Reputation can be rebuilt. Time? Gone forever. That's why they're not casual with it. They don't let their schedule get hijacked by randomness, other people's emergencies, or fake urgency. Here's the big difference. Average people let time happen to them. Successful people assign time intentionally. They plan their day around priorities, not moods. If something isn't scheduled, it's not real. I'll do it someday is just another way of saying never. Successful people turn intentions into calendar blocks. That's execution in physical form. They also understand opportunity cost. Saying yes to one thing is saying no to something else, whether they realize it or not. So they say no a lot. Not rudely, not emotionally, just logically. If a task doesn't align with their long-term direction, it gets rejected. This isn't arrogance, it's clarity. People who lack direction say yes to everything. People with direction protect their time. Another habit most people resist. They batch shallow work. Emails, messages, calls, handled in specific windows. Not all day. This prevents constant context switching, which is scientifically proven to destroy focus. Successful people create long, uninterrupted stretches for deep work because that's where real value is created. And they rest strategically. Rest is not laziness, it's recovery. They know a burned-out brain makes bad decisions. Sleep, breaks, and mental downtime are part of the system, not rewards after collapse. This is biology, not motivation. They redefine failure before it breaks them. Most people fear failure because they personalize it. They think failing means, I'm not good enough. Successful people don't think like that. They separate identity from outcome. Failure isn't a character flaw, it's information. Data, feedback. That mental separation is a habit, and it's powerful. Once you stop tying your self-worth to results, experimentation becomes safe. Successful people fail more than average people, but they fail faster and cheaper. They don't drag mistakes emotionally. They run small experiments, test ideas, and quickly cut what doesn't work. This is how startups operate, and successful individuals apply the same logic to life. Try, measure, adjust. No overthinking. No ego defense. Another critical habit. They do postmortems, not pity parties. When something goes wrong, they ask, what assumptions were wrong? What variables did I ignore? What can I change next time? Average people ask, why does this always happen to me? Successful people ask, what's the controllable variable here? That shift alone changes everything. They also expect failure early in the process. That's why they're not shocked by it. Beginners expect success too soon, then quit when reality hits. Successful people expect resistance, mistakes, and embarrassment at the start. Because of that expectation, they persist longer, and persistence beats talent when talent quits. And here's the real advantage: they don't publicly dramatize failure. No oversharing, no victim narratives. They quietly learn, adapt, and move forward. Progress doesn't need an audience. They choose their circle like an algorithm. Successful people are not social butterflies by default, but they are selective. They understand that human behavior is contagious. Your environment silently rewires your standards, your tolerance, and your thinking. That's why they choose their circle the same way an engineer chooses tools, based on impact, not emotion. They limit exposure to chronic complainers, excuse makers, and drama addicts. Not because they're heartless, but because negativity has a measurable cognitive cost. Constant exposure to pessimism lowers ambition, increases stress, and normalizes mediocrity. Successful people protect their mental bandwidth. Energy management is strategy, not selfishness. Another habit: they seek asymmetrical relationships. Mentors, peers who are slightly ahead, and communities that raise their standards. Not to copy lifestyles, but to recalibrate what normal looks like. When high performance becomes normal around you, average effort starts feeling uncomfortable. That social pressure works in your favor. They're also intentional with conversations. Less gossip, more ideas, more problem solving. They talk about systems, opportunities, and improvement, not people and drama. This doesn't mean they're boring, it means they're directional. Conversations either add clarity or waste time. They choose accordingly, and importantly, they're reliable. They do what they say. That builds trust, which compounds into opportunities most people never even see. Talent opens doors. Reliability keeps them open. They play the long game while acting daily. Successful people zoom out mentally but zoom in operationally. They think in years and decades, not days and weeks. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. Successful people flip that. They stay patient in the short term and aggressive in the long term. They understand compounding, not just in money, but in skills, habits, reputation, and relationships. Tiny daily actions feel useless in the moment, which is why most people quit. Successful people keep going because they trust math, not emotions. Compounding doesn't need motivation, it needs time plus consistency. Another key habit: they delay rewards intentionally. While others chase instant gratification, successful people invest effort up front for future payoff. This isn't about suffering, it's about time preference. Low time preference people build assets. High time preference people consume outcomes before earning them. That difference alone explains massive gaps in results. They also align daily actions with long-term identity. They don't ask, "Will this feel good today?" They ask, "Does this support the person I'm becoming?" Identity-based habits stick longer because they're internal, not forced. You don't need discipline to act in line with who you believe you are. And here's the underrated part: they stay boringly consistent. No emotional swings, no dramatic quits, no constant reinvention, just quiet, repetitive execution. That's why their success looks sudden to outsiders, but it's never sudden. They live by one core rule: responsibility without excuses. If you strip everything down, this is the habit that sits underneath all others. Successful people take full responsibility for their life, without excuses, without drama. Not fake motivational responsibility, real, uncomfortable, adult responsibility. They don't wait to be rescued. They don't blame systems they can't control. They focus relentlessly on what is controllable and act on it daily. They understand a hard truth: no one is coming to save you. And instead of feeling depressed by that, they feel empowered. Because if no one is coming, then you are the variable. That mindset kills entitlement and replaces it with agency. Agency is dangerous, in a good way. It forces action. Successful people also operate with internal validation. They don't need constant applause, likes, or approval to keep going. Progress itself becomes the reward. This makes them mentally independent, which is rare and powerful in a world addicted to external validation. They don't wait for clarity before starting. Clarity comes from action. They start messy, refine along the way, and adapt based on feedback. Waiting to feel ready is just fear wearing a polite mask. Successful people move first, adjust second, and finally, they accept that success is not a destination, it's a direction. There is no finish line where life suddenly becomes easy. Problems just upgrade, and they're okay with that. Because growth, responsibility, and progress become their default state. If you internalize even half of these habits, your life trajectory will change, not overnight, not magically, but inevitably.